there's no better time now to read Hazrat Masih Maud's books, and they're so important. And this coronavirus period, this quarantine time, has given us a really good opportunity to read books. Hamza usually does the presentations, but today I'll just take over because there was one book which I really was inspired by, and it's very within time. I really hope that we can learn something from it. So I'll just quickly go through it. The book is called A Message of Peace, and you might know about it. The main thing about this book is that it's the last book Hazrat Masih Maud ever wrote, and in fact he never actually finished this book. He was in the middle of writing it. If you just quickly look, it's only 50 pages. It was originally written in Urdu in 1908, and as you know, Hazrat Masih Maud passed away in 1908. So it's a really small book. It's something which you can easily read. And for me, the way I was looking at this book, the angle I was looking at it was, it's his final days. And let's see what kind of message, after all the journey he's been through, let's see what kind of message he extracts from that book. So a small introduction. This book was written just in 2 days, and before the demise of Hazrat Masih Maud, it was completed in January. He calls out two nations. As you know, he's living in India. The two main people there are the Hindus and the Muslims, and the fight between them. And he's trying to find a solution to solve to bridge the gap. And the main thing that he said was, none of this is religious. The fight that you are having, none of it is religious. It's all cultural, and it's all habits that you have both instilled, and that's the main reason. And he said, if you look into religion, then you realize that we don't need to fight anymore, because he said that Islam inculcates respect and reverence for each other, and for elders and for leaders. And so that's one of the main aspects of Islam, which is what the Muslims weren't getting, and which the Hindus weren't getting, and they weren't understanding this concept, and they weren't actually highlighting this bit to show that, you know, we're not going to fight with you, because our religion teaches respect for each other, to the point where Hazrat Masih Maud even says that we regard Krishna and Ram Chandradevi as saints, and the book which they follow is called the Vedas. And Hazrat Masih Maud said that we consider this book as something from God. So these were some few points which Hazrat Masih Maud said. And quickly, just to say this, that he basically urged mainly the Hindus, the Hindu people, that, you know, extend the hand of friendship to the Muslims, and if you do that, you'll see that all these quarrels that you're having, they'll go away. And so this is something which we need to think about in today's world. All the Muslims which are portraying Islam in a negative way, we should really think about that. So quickly, what Hazrat Masih Maud said, he said, in order to have complete peace, the Hindu gentlemen and the Arya Samajas are prepared to accept our Holy Prophet ﷺ as a true prophet. If they are willing to accept him and give up denying and insulting him, I will be the first person to sign an agreement to the effect that we, the members of the Ahmadiyya sect, should always continue to believe in the Vedas and speak of the Krishna in the most respectful terms, and bind ourselves to pay the Hindus a penalty of 300,000 rupees. In case we fail to fulfill the agreement, if the Hindus cordially wish for this peace, they should also sign a similar agreement. Now remember, Hazrat Masih Maud, last few days of his life, last months of his life, and he's extending his hand out just to say to the Hindus that stop insulting our Holy Prophet, stop insulting him and saying abusive language. I'm willing to even sign an agreement of 300,000 rupees, which was an enormous amount in that time. Like, it would be thousands of pounds if you translate it to today. And so he goes, even just so that you stop abusing him, and we will sign this agreement, and if we fall short, then we will pay this money to you. So this is the level of the Aryas, especially, of how much abuse they gave to the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And in that time, Hazrat Masih Maud was known amongst not just Ahmadis, but all Muslims that he was the person to defend Islam. If there was ever a debate with anyone, they would send him because they knew that he was the most scholarly and they knew that he was the Mujaddid. So this was a really important thing which I just wanted to highlight, and it just teaches us that how we should defend the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and as you know, Hazrat Masih Maud alayhi salatu wasalam. So this was a powerful message. This is one thing which I wanted to highlight. As we say, Zaid Saab, you said at the beginning is of love for all, hatred for none. But just to speak a little bit about that, as the Masih Maud said, the religion is we refrain from all that is banned by God, and we run on His desired paths, and treat all His creation with sympathy and kindness, and to have belief in all the divine messengers and the prophets of God who appeared from time to time, and we do not discriminate among them, and to serve every man with affability. This is the gist of our religion. So that's one side. But there's also the side of if someone is cursing a prophet, how do we react to that? So as Masih Maud gave the answer, he said, but those people who without any justification and without any fear of God use bad words about our exalted Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allah, and level unholy allegations and speak about him rudely, how we can have peace with them? How can we have peace with them? I say with all the emphasis at my command, we may make peace with snakes and saline land and wolves of the wilderness, but we will never make peace with those miscreants who attack our Prophet, who is more dear to us than ourselves and our parents. God give us death before we do anything which may cost us our Islam. So this is something really important for everyone to understand. Whenever you're on social media, whenever you're listening to people hurling abuse to Hazrat Masih Maud or the Holy Prophet or Islam in general, we can't just sit down and just listen to it and say, it's fine, Allah will curse them. You need to, as soon as you see it, you need to step up and you need to write something against them and say something against them, because if no one's gonna stop them, they'll just keep going and going. And as the Masih Maud showed us the right way, and he would, as you can see, the words are very, very harsh, and they're very strict, and they're very strict, because this is to do with the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And no man alive loved him more than Hazrat Masih Maud. He said, we'll even deal with the snakes and the wolves and every beast that's on this land. They're fine. But these people who hurl abuse against the Holy Prophet ﷺ, they're even worse than them. So that's why we need to stand up and really try to react. Just as Zaid Saab was saying at the beginning, we need to get involved in these things, and it's so easy. You're not confronting anyone. You on your phone, and you can literally just send messages. You can send tweets, and it's so easy. So everything's in our hands. Once a Khadim even asked Huzur and said to him, all these abuses that are happening on social media, what should we do? Should we just read them and just stay quiet? Or what should we do? And Huzur said, you should all bombard any tweet, any channel, or any sort of thing which is published. You should bombard it to the level that they'll realize themselves that what they've said is wrong. And yourselves, whenever you put anything contradictory on social media, you'll get thousands of messages sent to you directly, and people even cursing you and this and that. So we need to make them feel that what they're saying is wrong and what they're doing is wrong, and you can't abuse the rights of people's religion. So these are just some of the ways how you can defend through social media, through writing essays, healthy discussions, and all this is just to remove misconceptions, because 99% of the time, these people don't know what they're saying. They're just following what people have told them, what their imams have told them, what they've read, but they don't actually look into their religion. We can do the same. We're very susceptible to that weakness as well. We can't say for 100% what we know about other religions. Actually, we don't know anything, because we're told everything about Ahmadiyyat, but we don't look at the other side. So that's why it's important to educate yourselves. And it's so easy now. As I said, you don't have to confront anyone. You and your phone, and just like that, you can defend Islam. Before, people were defending Islam with swords and giving their lives, and now it's just about our own effort. And we're in an era where we're testing mostly our patience and our initiative. And so these two things you must really look at yourselves and try your best. So all it takes is your initiative. So that's really the main thing which I wanted to discuss. Jazakallah, that's a quick one on A Message of Peace, the last book of Hazrat Masih Maud written in 1908. So remember that, guys. If you ever get a chance, pick it up and read it, because this is just obviously just a summary. But the main learning is when you guys actually pick it up and read it.